maldito me la va a deber. Porque yo soy indio, no debo de saberlo. Pasa ya mi tierra, no debe de suceder. Milicia del masacre, es injusto que no ven a mi pobre gente que no se lo merece.
Oh yeah.
That was La Banda's Calavera, as always. Hello and welcome to It's Happening Show, community grassroots media for the people by the people. I am Jose Gloria.
And I'm Dylan Thompson. We are your hosts tonight.
It's Happening is the movement of the heart and of the mind. It's the energy of the universe that creates waves inside us and all around us, which allows us to activate, motivate, and elevate vibrationally, intellectually towards love, truth, justice, and wisdom. It's happening in every which way.
It's Happening is a culture of empowerment. It's people having the right to exist and participate as equals. It's a dream of what the world could be, but the future we want is only possible if we make it happen. So stand up, get informed, and fight back.
Fight back.
Oh.
You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, so we thank you because of you.
It's happening.
Oh, snap, yes.
Oh my God, it only sounded good on your side. Trust me.
Dude, we did it.
Finally. Been a lot of practice.
Mission accomplished. Yeah, man.
Clip that. We'll just hit the button and lip sync it for the rest of the shows.
That's right. Yeah.
Save us some time.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great show today. Like every day.
Every day is a show.
Every day is a show. But yeah, especially today because we're gonna a little later on today. We're gonna have or a little later on in a bit. We're gonna have members of the Cooperative Campaigns collective talk about all the stuff that they're doing to support progressive candidates locally. So looking forward to that conversation.
Oh yeah.
First and foremost, how are you doing, Dylan?
Just fantabulous.
Yeah.
I noticed there were a lot of wild screaming parties in the neighborhood. There's some fireworks going off.
That's right, because in case you are living under a rock here in California, or you don't give a damn about basketball or sports in general, the Lakers won after 10 years of a dry spell. The last time being, of course, with the late, great Kobe Bryant. I got his pin, Kobe 8, rocking it here today. They were able to win a championship, so that was good. People were happy.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, don't go outside, though.
Fireworks galore. Yeah.
Celebrate indoors.
And of course, we're so excited that they started going crazy, setting buses on fire in LA. And actually, I thought about the last time that the Lakers won. I was in near Staples Center, one of the bars around, and sure enough, the riot police came out and there was rubber bullets and tear gas. I'm like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Like, I want nothing to do with this madness. Yeah. But no, I just I was good. Good thing for LA fans, sports fans.
We need good news.
Yeah, that was good.
It was good for us. I'm sure the other fans were crushed utterly. But
speaking of good news, Trump beat COVID. Woo!
I'm immune, actually.
USA.
Yeah. I think you could actually drink his blood and become immune. That's what I'm hearing. Inject that straight into your body and it makes you immortal.
Yeah, of course, the irony is Trump had the best medical care and the best, allegedly, stem cell research driven, treatments and such that were able to help him bounce back. So, yeah. We had a little quiet period there, but now he's back with a force and having all sorts of, protests, so he can be allowed to have his rallies. So he was out in Florida today, and so he's gonna be having a rally every day from here until election. So
super spreader in chief.
All right, but so let's go ahead and jump into our top stories.
Top stories.
Top.
Santa Ana, California.
Orange County.
United States of America. Oh, wait, it's California.
Planet Earth.
The continent of North America.
Milky Way galaxy.
Okay. I don't know much more about that. Maybe we should go into, like, say, oh, in this particular atom, in this electron. Okay. Wrong direction. We're looking up, guys. We're trying to go big picture. But, like, have you heard of this thing? Just say it was this old thing called Columbus Day. It's this weird old thing people are hanging on to. Apparently, some states are still recognizing it. So that is today, and I'm kind of like surprised. Like I'm still seeing like stuff like PragerU puts out some video defending Western culture and Columbus and all that. It's just like,
yeah. What did happen was that the White House put out a communications piece, basically saying how the radical left is trying to destroy the Italians' heritage, and and just talk
racist.
Yeah, and destroy our heritage and this and that. So, yeah, by executive decree, it is now the second Monday of every October from here until forever. It is officially Columbus Day. Yeah, so take that, indigenous, people's holiday, peoples. So yeah. It's one of those things.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I don't quite. Well, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Like a lot of our politics, like aren't based on fact, right? And then if you just make Columbus, like regardless of his own diaries, of his admittance to his own atrocities and the things that happened after the so-called discovery, right, of America. I mean, come on, man. These facts don't matter. Like the right is supposed to be like Ben Shapiro is supposed to say the facts don't care about your feelings, but I don't think the right cares about the facts at all. And they just like to ignore all of that and just hang on desperately to whatever tradition there is. Sure, the guy's famous. He like opened up a whole new continent for Europe, right? That made him famous, but what does that make him moral or a hero? That's another question.
Yeah. It's a debate, right? Obviously, with the statues being asked to come down, and a lot of people are saying no, Columbus Day is just antiquated. It no longer makes sense. We've now have plenty of evidence that Columbus was in fact not the person that discovered America. I think for sure the Vikings. Recently I think that said that the Chinese could have been over here. So the Egyptians, it's I mean, hence the term Columbusing. It's just like, hey, look what I found. It's like, but we've been here. Well, you didn't find.
Hold on.
What do you mean?
Discovered. I crossed the Bering Strait. My ancestors crossed the Bering Strait eons ago. Yeah. So.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
but I mean,
continues, and
how many more years until it's retired? I feel like we can abandon the sense of society. We need to legalize weed and get rid of Columbus Day. These are some obvious
priorities. Oh, okay. Man. And on legalization, I believe Vermont has joined many states that are now legalized and decriminalized.
Right.
Expunge.
Burn it down, man.
Those records from those people. So yeah.
Vermonters.
That's the way to step up, baby. So this is a story that came out just I believe yesterday. Unofficial ballots drop boxes were popping up throughout the state, and this is worrying election officials. So they had Neil Kelly, who's the person in charge of the registrar of voters here in Orange County, put out a statement and said, like, these are not, places for you to drop your boxes. Make sure that you are checking that these are official drop boxes. And of course, you can go to ocvote.com to make sure that these are in fact. But it just, and this came out after a Twitter post by OC GOP officials, basically taking a picture in front of these places. And so they fought back and they said, no, well, if people can go door to door and take ballots from voters to turn them in themselves, then we can also do this in a safe manner, collect people. But I don't know. I, like many other people, think that there's nefarious intentions and motives behind these fake drop boxes.
Right. And isn't the process a little different? Because I know someone can sign over their ballot to someone to deliver on their behalf, right? But that's like an interaction you'd have with a person, and I'm not totally sure, but as I recall, they sign that part, right? And then the person who turns it in also fills out the form. But yeah, so it's a weird question because that wouldn't happen if you're just dropping it off at some random some box, right?
Yeah, I think this is potentially illegal, or I think it was deemed to be illegal.
Oh yeah.
So so this happened in front of a church apparently in Orange County. So Pastor Jerry Cook posted photos. Our church has a voting drop box in front of our complex. You're voting early, but drop the ballots here. So so more to come on that story.
Interesting.
Yeah, but so make sure you're aware about where to vote and vote early, vote
often.
Vote as many times as you can. Just kidding. Moving on to our next story.
Oh yeah, I just want to talk about a couple coronavirus stuff in Orange County. A little coronavirus update. It's unavoidable. It has its own segment. Newport Mesa School District opts to postpone reopening schools for 7th to 12th graders. So this was kind of what may look like a last-minute decision by that board, but I think it was a 5-1 vote to delay, instead of opening sometime this month, they delayed till December 17th. So I feel like that's the board was responding to comments from parents that came up and said, look, like there are other problems, like some parents thought like the hybrid system they were going to do is a bit sloppy and that it would be better implemented if delayed and other things, right? So, but this is a good move. I think a lot of schools should follow suit, seeing that this thing isn't abating at this time. Like, let's continue being safe. And, the government is trying to do their best to provide the laptops and internet to everyone, and let's continue and exploit that new resource, right? And then just a second thing about Orange County, the supervisors are going to close this motel program that was sheltering over 500 homeless people at high coronavirus risk. So there's like often elderly people and other people that even had it and needed to be quarantined, homeless people, right? So they're like, okay, we're good. Let's end the program. Like at this stage, right? Again, like we haven't shown that it's abating at all. And look, and this isn't even in their interests, like the supervisors. If they're all hell bent on opening everything, why don't you make it more safe? Take more safety precautions, then you're under those regulations from the state, and then maybe you can open. But don't you give up now, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, it seems like a weird timing. I know they scorn the homeless, but like, yeah, can we have some more time with these kinds of programs, right?
Yeah, I mean, like in many ways, different cities are taking very opportunistic, are being opportunistic in these times to, to use the coronavirus as an excuse to get rid of certain policies that they may, have not wanted to begin with, or, in the case of Anaheim, to get all sorts of money and give it to special interest groups that, obviously funding, just the worst of candidates, and which is, what our next story will be about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, needless to say, Orange County and many of the board of supervisors have dropped the ball significantly on the matter of, being like, on top of the issue of, of testing, of addressing this issue. And so, but now it really seems similar to like, how the Trump tried to, just ignore it and say like it'll pass. And once it really didn't pass, then they addressed it. And if they could have addressed it earlier, we wouldn't have the numbers, as you mentioned, that we're still seeing. Orange County has dropped, and California as a whole, as compared to other parts of the country that are seeing rises yet again, in the second waves, as they call them. But so we're still not in the clear, as we talked last show, right? Disneyland has not been allowed to reopen, and they are getting mad. So am I. I really missed.
Yeah. We're all suffering.
Yeah, please. I need my fix. I need my Disney fix. Just shoot it right up. And
Explains a lot.
I'm gonna get you, Gavin Newsom. You dirty bastard. Let me up. Let me open. I need my money.
Disney addict. It's sad, man.
Yeah, man. It's serious. Yeah, addiction to Disneyland is
Right.
serious. But hey, that's what you have, Disney Plus. So get your fix. Like I did. I got my fix of the Three Musketeers. We're three happy chappies with snappy serappies. They call us the Three Caballeros.
That was your musical segment of the night.
Yeah, that's it. The end.
That's good.
Okay, thanks.
You practice, I could tell. Okay.
I practiced my whole childhood. I watched that. I talked to my sister and I was like, remember this movie? I used to watch this movie again and again. It's like, oh my God, we watched it so many times. I was like, I know, because that's what would keep you quiet when I would babysit. Okay, and moving on to our last top story for our segue into our awesome guest here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Anaheim City Council majority is okay with Visit Anaheim holding on to millions of bailout dollars. So this according to the Voice of OC, Spencer Custodio. Big ups and shout out to Voice of OC.
Represent.
To the fullest. So the story goes as follows. A majority of Anaheim City Council members Tuesday night weren't interested in potentially getting up to $4 million back from the $6.5 million in bailout money handed to Visit Anaheim over 6 months ago to advertise a closed Disneyland resort area. So by the end of calendar year 2020, Visit Anaheim is anticipated to spend $2.5 to $3 million of the $6.5 million authorized in economic recovery funding. Allocated from Anaheim Convention Center Reserve account, with additional funds anticipated to be programmed as a phased reopening is authorized by the state of California. So Councilwoman Denise Barnes has been asking for a public accounting of the money for months. Anaheim is the advertising bureau of resort and convention center industry in the city, which is normally funded through a self-imposed bed tax from the resort hotels. So yeah, the meeting was interesting because at some point, council member Jose Moreno, friend of the show, proposed the city ask for the unspent money back and use it for community needs. He said, so we can use it for rent relief, food distribution, and to support the employees who have been laid off by Disneyland Resort. Only Barnes supported him. Since we didn't have a third vote, and of course, again, the Democrat on there, Jordan Bramman, did not join his Democratic colleague in doing that, and has pretty much consistently done this and partnered up with the Republican, Chamber of Commerce backed majority with Harry Sidhu leading the charge. But as we know, Harry Sidhu is just a puppet. Really, there is people that are pulling the strings, and it's mostly the Chamber of Commerce and the tourism industry lobby. So, that's how much was Moreno asked how much was spent, and that when Vanderpool answered that it's not, who's the city manager for Anaheim, answered that that's not in the report. But it fell on deaf ears. At one point, the mayor was so worked up and angry that he just said, it's like, I have nothing more to say about this. I will take 5-minute recess. And then he hung up, and that's the kind of power that the mayor has, just hang up and not want to address the questions about, some legitimate concerns from Councilmember Moreno about, can this money be given back if we're not using it for advertising? Our residents need it.
Oh yeah.
No avail. So this is trouble, right?
Oh, big time. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of cash to sit on during an emergency, let's say.
Yeah, the city is facing a roughly $100 million deficit, and it's unclear whether Disneyland will reopen during the pandemic. So, all to say, and why this story is important, and in the segue into our guest here tonight, is that electing council members, electing school board members, electing officials that represent us at the state and national level is so important. And who gets to be in those positions? It's a lot of times it's people that have money, and especially after Citizens United, flooded our local economy. And people wonder, well, why is all these ads? Well, you can thank Citizens United in large part that just flooded the community with all these PACs, and most of these PACs, majority of them do not have our best interest in mind. They will fool, they will misinform, and they will straight up lie and smear candidates and policies that they do not benefit, their bottom line. Case in point, the proposition around Uber drivers and the Vita two of the most expensive campaigns in the history of propositions in California. And so how do you fight back against this? And how do you promote and support progressive candidates that may have never run, do not know the rules of the game, do not know the systems in place? And so a lot of times are at a disadvantage, because they're definitely at a financial disadvantage with all of these, heavily, funded lobbyists like the chambers of commerce and the police officer associations and all of these other special interests, that really a lot of times get to pick and buy the candidates, and really destroys our ability to fight, for the needs of the community and to instill democracy, right? And so, through that, this Cooperative Campaigns was formed. So I will introduce folks and talk and read what they are about, but they will be able to share with us some more. So Cooperative Campaigns is a collective of political activists who are working together as a cooperative to support political candidates in Santa Ana and Orange County elections that align with their values of a county and a city where all residents have the opportunity to remain and thrive. So that is awesome. That. And can get behind that. So Maria, Tracy, and Andrew, if y'all can join us and unmute yourself and show your lovely faces.
Welcome.
Hello. So Tracy Law is a community organizer with over 7 years of experience in campaign development, civic engagement, and community organizing. She has led grassroots campaigns that resulted in the registration and turnout of thousands of young people in OC to vote. She has led and contributed to campaigns ranging from student government elections at universities to local electoral races, including congressional races, to campaigns contributing to advancing and defending immigrant rights in Orange County. Welcome to the show, Tracy. Maria Zacarias has been involved in community organizing since 2010. As an organizer, she has helped work on local and national campaigns with grassroots nonprofits, labor, electoral campaigns, and educational institutions such as UCI. And you can also catch her inside a mosh pit at your local punk and ska show. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Maria. Yeah, friend of the show. Well, from my friend. And now she's a friend of the show. And Andrew Hausserman. Andrew has worked as a volunteer and professional community organizer for more than 10 years. He has led field campaigns from nonprofit organizations in Orange County and New York City that have resulted in tens of thousands of conversations with voters on issues ranging from funding for education, criminal justice reform, and protecting immigrant communities. Most recently, he co-led the field campaign for the successful Measure L living wage campaign in Anaheim. Woo, woo, woo. The largest field operation in Orange County's 2018 election cycle. Welcome to the show, Andrew Hausserman. So thank you all for being here. This is pretty awesome to be able to have 3 out of the 5 people that are part of your Cooperative Campaigns. I believe like Yenny Diaz and Benjamin Vasquez, friends of the show, sometimes assistant executive producers and top fans.
And super fan, yeah.
Super fans, yeah.
And Carlos Perea too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can't forget Carlos. Yeah. What's up, Carlos? So I'll start with Tracy. What led you to being an advocate as you are for immigrant communities and for Vietnamese communities and and joining this here cooperative?
All right, thanks y'all. So it's nice to be in the show. I catch a couple of your shows pretty often, and I want to shout out the rest of the crew who's not here, but they're in the comments. So I think to start off with why I got involved in politics or in organizing, I don't mean in a cliche way, but I really believe it's due to my whole upbringing. So as short as I can, my parents were Vietnamese refugees. They had been living in refugee camps for about a decade before they came here to the US due to being sponsored by my grandpa. And I was born just 5 months after. So they literally figured out what it was like to live in this country just right after I was born. And I initially got involved into politics because it was due to a mixture of being very angry and frustrated and not understanding why the conditions that we're living in were the way that they were. But also I was hopeful and because I believe that we could change it. I was always told by my family that my parents came here especially because they wanted a better life for me and my brothers. But so I grew up in a really supportive household. I grew up with all my uncles and aunts, and it was 4 families to a household. But things really started to change when my grandma got sick. So she wasn't getting healthcare by people who spoke her language. And when I was a teenager, all those parties that we would used to have together would end. And it was because my grandma got sick. My family needed to care for her. And then my parents needed to work 6 to 7 days a week in order for us to survive. And before that, it wasn't the case. And I didn't understand why that was the case at all. I thought like, it just happens because you're older now. And I didn't understand why my parents had to suffer in order for my brothers and I to have a good life here, because I didn't think that was fair to them. And when I faced, in my school, I was often the only Asian or Vietnamese girl, especially in elementary school. And I got bullied a lot for being Vietnamese, for being Asian, and I faced a lot of racism. And up until I was like 18, I was really ashamed of being Vietnamese. Like I was embarrassed. I didn't know anything about my culture or homeland. And I was embarrassed to be, working class or poor. And so I never talked about it. And by the time I got to college, something clicked in me and made me realize that like that was something that was unacceptable. And I never wanted another young person who was Vietnamese to be ashamed of who they were or where they came from. And I didn't want my parents to continue to be exploited by their employers, work 6 days a week. For me, my brothers would never see them anymore. I didn't think it was just because I was older now. I knew it was because of material conditions and the ways that things were changing in this country that made it that way. So, up into that, and then we moved around a lot. And in college, I moved around every year because in Orange County, rent would increase like $200 to $300 a year, and I never had stable housing. So until I moved here to Santa Ana. So I've been living here for about 3 years now, and it was a mixture of all of that made me realize that all these things were unacceptable and we could change it. That's why I'm here now.
Oh yeah, gotta be the change.
Thank you, Tracy. Maria, if you can go next. I know that you and I, worked before the beginnings of district elections fight in Anaheim, right? It's freaking 10 years ago. Can you believe it? It's insane. Time flies. But yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself for folks that don't know. Because I know.
Thanks, Jose. So I am undocumented, and I think what got me into organizing was when I was about 9 or 10, we went to go see a lawyer with my mom to see if we could adjust my status. And the lawyer said that the DREAM Act was coming up and that it would pass, but it never did. So then when I moved to California, moved to Anaheim, and then I started getting involved with the Orange County Dream Team, and then got involved into more social justice stuff with El Centro, and then just started volunteering and working with other organizations and nonprofits. I grew up with my mom. She was a single mom. She always worked in agriculture. So my life has done a couple full circles in different ways. I grew up with my mom working at different seasonal jobs, nurseries, but I also grew up having to help her through navigate healthcare because I was the family translator. I also helped her coworkers that worked in agriculture or in the nurseries. Sometimes the coworkers would have to go to court, or sometimes they had job issues, not getting paid on time that I would go translate for. So I was exposed to a lot of injustices early on in my life, and I think that's just trying to, again, like Tracy, be the change, but also know that I'm actively trying to do something to make these changes for future generations as well, instead of just waiting for something to actually change.
Oh yeah, that's always the struggle. Definitely know people are like, yeah, I'll join the revolution when it needs to hit critical mass. And then, yeah, we do have to jump in beforehand. But yeah, Andrew, please go ahead.
Well, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think I grew up in a small town in Vermont. My grandparents came to the U.S. From Switzerland in the 50s. And I think my family, y'all are Bernie fans on this show, so Vermont hasn't always been as radical as it is now, but it definitely is was an interesting place to grow up and very different from Southern California, for example. So I grew up, I think, in a lot of ways, pretty steeped in the myth of the American dream, kind of believing that to be true. My grandparents came here as immigrants. They found work. My grandfather was in agriculture. He ended up moving into insurance, kind of paved this way for the middle class in my family. And that really kind of felt true in this small kind of socialist bubble that is Vermont. And unlike maybe Maria and Tracy, that bubble popped for me when I left Vermont and moved to Massachusetts. Went to college in a city called Worcester in central Massachusetts. And I just looked around and was like, oh shit, can I swear on this?
Oh
Yes?
yeah, go
Okay,
crazy,
cool.
go fucking
All right, cool.
insane.
I was just like, I kind of realizing, shit, if I wasn't, white guy with blue eyes growing up in that, in this neighborhood where I was, just how different the reality was for the kids that were growing up there, and how different that was from my own experiences and the experiences of my family and the opportunities that were provided to us. So I kind of got involved in a whole bunch of different things to try to make sense of that, and ended up working with kids that were in the foster care system. And that was kind of where a lot of the not just like how do we make change on an individual to individual basis, but just realizing how certain systems are designed to create opportunities for some families and then deny them completely for others. And particularly one of the kids that I was working with, it just felt like the whole system was designed to send folks to jail. And that was the realization that sometimes it's not just about kind of creating an individual change, but figuring out how do we change those systems. So got involved in a few different community organizing efforts, one of which was with a grassroots group called Epica that was doing like one of the first ban the box bills in the country to change legislation to allow people to access jobs and housing when they're leaving incarceration, and did that as a grassroots volunteer and kind of fell in love with the work of community organizing, and ended up moving out to California and meeting a lot of the folks around on this call and getting involved in a bunch of different efforts in Santa Ana and across Orange County. So it's been a little bit of a long journey. Happy to be here and to be working with a great group of folks like all of you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for that, Andrew. So maybe I'll toss it to Tracy here. So you guys have talked about some of the systemic problems, some of the injustices you've seen. Like what exactly is the problem you're trying to solve with cooperative campaigns and your solution?
All right, so I think you all talk about a lot on the show, but Santa Ana and Orange County is known to be, we have some of the most corrupt politicians that we've seen in office. Many of them have really close ties to like developers that will displace residents who've been here for a long time, or they'll keep it from being affordable. Like, the story mentioned earlier with rent increasing every single year, regardless of whether things change or not. We have a really disenfranchised community, especially communities of color and immigrant communities who are unable to participate in the governance of the local community, and often feel as if, we don't get the chance every 4 years to change it. And that is really disempowering. And I think, for a long time, there have been multiple strategies that have come up to try and change that, but a lot of them worked in silos. And we knew specifically with co-op that we were on the precipice of another Trump re-election. And we all know how Trump got into office. He won because he galvanized a white supremacist base. He attacked immigrant communities, specifically Mexican and Latinx communities. And he ran on a nativist, xenophobic, white supremacist agenda. And we were horribly disorganized on the left. And I still think in lots of ways we are. And that is something that, we all came together and knew that we needed to change. And all of us were activists and advocates who came from really different parts of our communities and had done and participated in different strategies. And we knew that, we can't just do one strategy anymore to make systemic change possible or a reality. We needed to mix and blend it. And we needed to be creative, and we needed it to be multiracial. So, those are some of the things that we knew we needed to change. And it was really cool because it was just like we gathered around Yenny's dinner table. And we were kind of like confused for a few months, and, trying to figure out what the heck we were doing. And we had like a bunch of folders and Gmail folders and all these meetings. And now here we are.
All it takes is a few people sitting around someone's dining room table for sure. That many a change.
That Margaret Mead quote comes to mind for sure. And it also feels like y'all are like what is it, like Captain Planet status, like so each one
Oh no.
of y'all have a unique skill set that you bring with our powers combined. So yeah, I think that's also something to bring up, because there's different aspects of organizing in electoral campaigns specifically, right? There's obviously the canvassing, the grassroots on the ground type of, but then there's this, the graphics and the social media and the strategies behind who to target, right? The demographics, and making sure that you're just strategic with the little resources you have, whether it's financial or people power, but and also guiding it accordingly to based on your capacity, right? And also the time limit. There's you have 3 weeks, right, as of tomorrow before the election. So
maybe Andrew or Maria want to talk about it, but we're all completely volunteer, and anything we spend is on our own pockets, for now. It's all volunteer.
Yeah. Please talk to that, and then maybe just kind of introduce who is on, what the slate is that you all are supporting, and why you're supporting those individuals.
Yeah, maybe Maria wants to take it.
Well, we think it's really important for us to do this as volunteer work, just to see how it's going to go and to have time to work out different parts of a campaign. We're all doing it on whatever extra time that we have, because we're working on a bunch of other stuff, along with what we're doing. And then our campaign is called a Safe and Vibrant Slate. We have a slate that we put together with different candidates, and we're intentional about using safe and vibrant as well, because we know that we know what we want our communities to look like. We know what a safe community is, and that's a community that has youth programs, that has funding for youth programs, where we're able to talk to our local city council representatives. And then so our candidates are Vin Sarmiento for mayor. We have Jesse Lopez in Ward 3. And we have school board members, Carolyn Torres and Alfonso Alvarez.
Nice. So, and this is all Santa Ana. That's the Santa Ana City Council and School District, it seems like, right? Why do you think maybe these guys fulfill some of the progressive values of your cooperative, right? Maybe Andrew, can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Well, we went through a process of meeting with the candidates, kind of talking through what some of our policy and platform priorities are as community volunteers, and kind of make sure that those values lined up. And one of the big things is not just what we stand for, but sometimes also what we stand against. And each of these candidates publicly committed to making sure that they wouldn't accept donations from the Santa Ana Police Officers Association. Mm-hmm. For those of you that are familiar with, Santa Ana politics, they have a huge and massive outsized influence on what happens in the city, spending to the tune of anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 in a typical election cycle, which is like more than $1 a voter in terms of what kind of money they drop into local politics. That's led to an increasing crisis in the city around the budget as the programs get cut and cops get raises, even in the midst of everything that's going on in this country around the Black Lives Matter movement and police killings that are happening. So each of these candidates has publicly committed not accepting the endorsement of the POA, any money from the POA, or any other police union or entity, which is an important starting point. They've also publicly committed to not accepting money from for-profit developers. As you all know, Santa Ana has had huge challenges, as Tracy mentioned, from rent hikes to gentrification of the downtown. That's been a struggle of community organizations for decades here. And knowing that these candidates are running in a way where they'll be independent from some of those pressures has been really important as well. And finally, each of the candidates is also publicly committed to not accepting money from charter schools, because each of these candidates prioritizes making sure that public education stays as a public resource and a public asset. So that's been, one of the first bars to clear. Yeah. And then then maybe Tracy or Maria could talk a little bit about our platform too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Tracy, do you want to take that?
Mm-hmm. So Maria mentioned earlier that the name of our slate is Safe Environment Santa Ana. So that was very intentional, not just because it was a statement of the way that we saw our community here, the residents, but it was specifically taking back the narrative that the Police Officers Association has had on public safety in the city. They continue to put out these narratives, they put out these press releases, they create this culture where neighbors are afraid of their own neighbors, or neighbors don't trust their own neighbors, that there is crime constantly, that you need to depend on the police to keep your community safe. And that's the police that make a safe environment. And so we wanted it to be a statement on that it's the residents, it's the communities, their families, our youth that make the city safe. And we were going to have candidates that represented those values. So Carolyn Torres puts this really, really well, is that she believes that one of the key issues that candidates in Santa Ana need to focus on now is government transparency and accountability. So with public interest running amok here and having a control of the city council for a long time, this was something that all the candidates strongly believed in. So, we have a teacher running for school board. We have a social worker who cares deeply about kids running for school board. We have a community activist with Jesse, who's been committed to supporting community activists around housing and public lands, running to represent her ward, which has been not the most progressive, not afraid to promote those values and be bold in it. And then we have Vince Sarmiento, who has been a huge community advocate, especially in the last year around universal representation. This is where their track record was. They believed in immigrant rights. They believe in economic prosperity for all residents. They believe in investing in youth, but not just as a slogan, which we keep seeing candidates do now. They specifically care about the education and the housing stability of youth and their families in the city. So those are some of the values that they committed to, that they have been committing to. It wasn't just because they wanted to be on our slate. It was something that they committed to for a while, and it was cool because this was a process that we did alongside them as well.
Right. Yeah. That's great. I do wonder, this organizing style, it seems it's people powered, right? I mean, I don't know, Maria, if you can answer this, but did you take from any strategies of, like, say, the Bernie Sanders campaign or Justice Democrats who they're doing the same kind of progressive thing? Don't give us your money, we're representing the people, or was that part of it, or is this a local idea that developed?
We've been having this idea for years.
Yeah. We had it first here. Okay.
We've been, I know Jose and Andrew through doing political campaigns like at least 10 years ago. And I know Tracy has also worked on political campaigns. And I remember years ago just always mentioning how, and other people mentioning how we need to help other campaigns whose candidates have the right values to help them out. Maybe sometimes they're not communicating with each other, or there's things that campaigns can work on with each other. And that's where we just decided to just, fuck it, let's do it. And we ended up organizing around that idea that we can, from all the skills that we've learned, that we've gathered in the time that we've been organizing and working on political campaigns, we have the skill set, we have all of the tools to do this. So we decided to just go forward with it. And all of our volunteers are like people that it's either their first time or they've done it before. So it's really cool to help to show other people how to do all these parts of the campaigning.
Oh yeah, definitely helps. Jose can probably speak to that a bit too.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. I always tell people it's like that picture of the dude trying to keep the plate spinning, and so you have you have to go to the make sure that one swallowed too much, so you're like,
whoa, hold on.
yeah. So it's like whether from volunteers to dealing with the candidates themselves, to social media outreach, and everything's just changed so much. I think, right, since 2008 with Obama, kind of really revolutionizing the way that voters are engaged to now. But I think Twitter wasn't around around then, so it's like all these things are now new, and TikTok has become a political force for outreaching to young people, or trolling Trump in the case of TikTok users.
K-pop fans.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of things, and it helps that each, like you mentioned, Maria, that each one of y'all brings some skill sets to this collective, and that different people can plug into the different campaigns, and the different needs that each one might have. So beyond just an endorsement apparatus, it's more just like kind of the wind beneath the wings of the candidates, right? So, but maybe y'all could talk to some of the challenges, or some of the unexpected kind of like bumps in the road, or opportunities that have arose from doing this, which I in a lot of ways is innovative, right? This collective and intentional co-mixing of campaigns for anybody.
Well, I could share a little bit. I think we have walked into a great situation in that we have some really amazing candidates. Alfonso, Carolyn, Vince, and Jesse are all running really strong campaigns and have amazing histories. Carolyn won a grassroots upstart campaign just a year ago on her own without our support. And these are candidates that are really amazing people that are generating energy and excitement. So that's definitely was a plus, because sometimes finding the right candidates can be the challenge.
For sure.
But what we have been able to leverage is where their districts overlap, we can kind of multiply forces, right? So in some cases with Santa Ana Unified, Ward 3 in the mayoral race, there's about 10 precincts in Central Ward 3 that are covered by all three of those races. So rather than having Jesse's volunteer, Carolyn's volunteer, Vince's volunteer, and Alfonso's volunteer walk the same precinct with different lit, we're walking together as a slate. We're doing a phone bank tomorrow night, for example, where we can talk to voters about all four candidates at once. So it's a way to kind of maximize resources. Obviously, you guys are probably getting those text messages and those phone calls. Voters' time is precious, and if you can take advantage of that by sharing about multiple candidates that have a shared set of values, it's part of the idea of how we can leverage and make each of our campaigns more efficient when we're working together. I think huge challenge has been COVID, right? Just like everything, it's kind of twisted election season into something that's looks very different than what we first imagined. I remember the first weekend we were door knocking, we were like, maybe are we lit dropping? Are we going to talk to people or not? And we just didn't know. So we were knocking on people's door, and the first question we'd ask is, we'd hang the door hanger, take 6 steps back so you're about 10 feet away from somebody. And then when they answered the door, obviously we're masked up, everybody had hand sanitizer, and was leaving the literature, so there was no close interaction. But that first question was, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm a volunteer with Cooperative Campaigns to share about these candidates. Are you comfortable talking? And it was definitely weird for a couple of weeks. But then we found out that about, I think when we actually got the results back, about 95% of people said, yeah, no, that's fine, as long as we're respecting social distancing, wearing masks, and staying at least 6 feet apart. So the first challenge was just, can we even do this in the way that we had imagined? As activists and folks that have run a lot of field campaigns, I think we really prioritize those face-to-face conversations as something that makes a difference, not just 10,000 mail pieces, but actually getting to talk to voters and share about what we're passionate about and why we're passionate about these candidates. So I'd say that was our first big challenge to overcome. And then as that's happening, figuring out how are we doing more on the digital end in terms of advertising, texting.
Right. Oh.
Uh-oh, he froze. No, we lost him. Come back. Oh, there he is.
Back.
Yeah.
All right. Unstable internet connection, cheap internet. What can I do? But anyway, I think you guys got the point. COVID was a huge
You're
challenge.
at the beach.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough.
Wi-Fi at the beach is terrible. I didn't know the beach in Long Beach looked like that. That's strange. Yeah. So,
Well, now you do. So
okay.
Check it out, man.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. COVID, as if running grassroots campaigns isn't tough enough. Like the one thing that we can depend on is people power, grassroots support, and then kind of getting cut at the knees with this pandemic. It was challenging at first, but folks figured it out. And to those that were comfortable. But I mean, anything else that you, or Tracy can add?
From my end, I feel like I've been able to have really good conversations with people at the door. Just getting creative with making sure that we have the social distance is like, it was such a big fear to get over. But once you get over that fear, like people are just, they're glad to have someone that's coming to them to talk to them about issues. They're glad that there's a whole slate of people. I've had people in the most conservative parts say that they were looking for alternatives to the progressive candidates, and they were glad that we had the slate that they could look into, but were already interested. So it's been really good conversations at the door that I didn't think I was going to be getting to have these lengthy conversations with the voters.
For me, I think some of the challenging things I think is pretty obvious when it's a volunteer run, collective is it does take a certain level of personal sacrifice in order to make things run the way that it does smoothly. And I'm not saying that any of us are martyrs, because I don't think any of us believe in that shit, and we definitely don't do that at all. But we're volunteer run and we're doing an entire operation on pretty much no money, or pretty much just whatever we can donate. And this is something that was meant a lot to us, when we started it, because we wanted to prove that you can get our people from the communities elected into office without depending on, special interest money or money from developers or other like big wealthy entities that currently are responsible for making some candidates elected. And then for me personally, it's like every election, it gets difficult hearing the stories of, residents at the door or through phone or through text about how things have been like for them. It's not easy because we feel what they're feeling, and it's gone worse than under COVID. Like I was text banking, Vietnamese residents for one of our candidates, and I think he may be the only candidate that's actually reaching out to Vietnamese voters through text, because I never got any texts, and in language that is. So I've definitely gotten texts from people who did it in English saying like, hey, like vote for me. I care about Vietnamese people. But, this person that was texting, they're Vietnamese, and they responded back by saying, vote for him? Why should I vote for him? No one gives a shit about me. I'm getting like $54 a week and I have it barely in. And you want me to vote for you? Like nothing, things have been the same. And I responded back in like broken Vietnamese saying like, I care about you. And, like I feel your pain. And that's why I'm supporting these candidates running for office, because I know that they understand. And this person responded back saying like, this is why I don't ever vote for Janet and win anymore, because she just emails me every day saying that she cares about me, and she wants my vote during election time. But I told her I'm starving and I don't have money, and she just tells me to apply for this program that I don't even qualify for. So like hearing these stories every day of people who keep seeing the same shit happen to them every year, and they want change to happen, and we're only one people, we're only one collective, and we want them to believe in change, but these are also their real material conditions that they're living in. So that for me has always been the hardest part, because it, it hurts, like I feel it. But I've, never felt more of a sense of the community than I do now, like with these amazing folks and, other folks I get to organize with. So it's all worth it, especially because, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's why.
Thank you.
It'll all be worth it in the end, I tell you. Yeah. No, I think that's a powerful conversation, and a reality. A lot of people are jaded, through years of marginalization and just ignoring, and I feel that especially from Latino communities coming from third world countries where democracy does not exist. They bring that kind of mentality. It's like, oh, why should I vote for people there? Nothing changes, and many times they're right. Nothing does change. Even if you elect somebody that has, in your case, a Vietnamese last name in Garden Grove or Westminster, or a Latino last name here in Santana, in and of itself, it doesn't mean that they're voting for the things that you need to have a higher quality of life. So I think the human aspect of perhaps y'all's approach to campaigning is different, as opposed to transactional type of politics that most elected officials mostly engage in. Like I'll talk to you when I want your vote, and then I'll talk to the people that pay for my campaign, and that's it, and really shun the community after they get into office. But obviously the candidates that are on the slate are different, or seemingly different, and in some cases like verifiably different, in that they've been transparent and open to speaking to the community about the issues that matter to most of them.
Definitely. It's like, so that all of that has been like a challenge, but also the gap that we were trying to fill with cooperative campaigns, reaching out to people who were never engaged in these type of traditional campaigns, who people say are not high propensity voters. We're talking to those that are so-called low propensity, those that don't speak English. And that's really, really important. I also want to say that I got that hard no into a yes. I'm still, really proud of it, and couldn't have done it without this infrastructure. So.
Yeah, that's a tough one to do. For sure. Yeah. And maybe if our audience or anyone listening was interested in participating, are there events, or what's a good way for them to get plugged in and involved?
Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of links getting dropped in the chat to donate, to get involved. I saw Alfonso Alvarez saying, children can't learn if they are hungry, homeless, or traumatized. The slate is truly looking out for our children. Powerful words from one of the candidates on your slate. And it shows at least in the priorities of investing in youth, right?
And we also connect how important it is for the city and the school district to work together too. So it's something that that we try to highlight too, that we're endorsing these candidates because they also want to make sure that the city and the district work together on different issues.
Yeah, and how could they or would they work together? Because the Santa Ana School Board obviously has their work to do and their priorities or focus, and then the Santa Ana City Hall has theirs. So what are some of the things that they've learned or that they're proposing?
One example is with the school district. They're giving technology to the students because they're doing online learning, but there's issues with that. So the city and the district could collaborate on maybe providing internet service for all of the residents.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one, right?
A few other events that are coming up. Tomorrow night, you can join us, and hopefully somebody will drop in a link. Tomorrow night, we have a phone bank where we're using predictive dialing technology. So some of the best technology to have as many conversations as possible shared amongst the candidates. So we're doing a predictive dialer phone bank tomorrow night for our whole slate from 6 to 8 p.m. On Thursday night, we have like a town hall forum with the candidates where you can hear more about the ways that they imagine working together. And then Benjamin Vasquez, who probably y'all know if you're watching this show, or some of you know, is putting together some amazing mixed drinks what's that? You can't boo, Ben. That you can purchase in exchange for making donations to any one of our 4 slate candidates. So that's a mixer fundraiser happening this Friday. And of course, come out door knock Saturday, Sunday. We'll be there from now until Election Day. If you want to come by, we meet in Marbury Park in Santa Ana around noon and 4 p.m. on Sundays in particular, where we walk for all 4 candidates throughout Ward 3. So those are just this week what's coming up, and we'll be reaching out to voters from now till Election Day. So definitely feel free to get in touch with any of us, and we can connect you. Just the last thing I'd say too is we have this opportunity. And Santa Ana is like the heart of Orange County in a lot of ways. I mean, there's always the battle Anaheim, Santa Ana, right? And like supremacy in Orange County, which city is the best? But I do think we have an opportunity with Santa Ana to really, over the course of the next couple of years, elect a progressive majority and start to champion some of the progressive policies that we all want to see. but it needs to happen at the city level, and kind of go from there. As we saw with district elections, when it happened in Anaheim, it's now fallen kind of like dominoes to the rest of Orange County. And that's created the opportunity where we can now run an election in Santa Ana in a ward with 15,000 voters, 25,000 likely voters, rather than 125,000, which just makes this whole thing viable in a lot of ways. So we're hopeful that with continued work over multiple election cycles, not just this year, but 2 years from now, 4 years from now, we can get to a place where we have a majority on council to enact some of the progressive ideas that are so important to all of us and making the kind of changes we want in our communities.
Absolutely. I've been thinking about it recently, how, it's been an evolution, at least for me. I'll speak for myself, I won't speak for other people, but, from being an activist, full of passion and youth idealism and, wanting to just burn it all down. I mean, Dylan was there with me when we occupied City Hall and,
Started smoking cigarettes again.
Yeah. Occupied, the Civic Center and pleading, demanding, begging, for the council to do, the things that we wanted to. I also, remember working for nonprofits and filling the council, with hundreds of people and being ignored and being really frustrated into feeling like, man, like these people, they don't give a shit about us. And to where I ended up now, and I feel like a lot of us that have been on this evolutionary journey, not to downplay the importance of activism, but just to understanding that there's different fronts in the fight, and a lot of times we're not on those fronts. And a lot of times it's just these career paid staffers that are part of these campaigns that are just looking to advance and get into the better, congressional job and stuff. But they're not really caring about those communities. And in this case, folks care about these communities because they live in these communities or have organized, for years, in the case of, definitely in the case of Andrew and Maria, for 10 years, seeing things grow, and of course, Tracy and your struggle. And your development as an organizer and then branching out. So now they're like, hey, where you been, Tracy? You should have been here all along. But and I feel like that with other people too. I'm just gonna read some of the things that people are saying about Alfonso and Carolyn about COVID response and healthcare and mental health prioritization. Joint use agreements, right? Being able to have the city's schools open up.
Make the joint use agreements better, or actually make them joint use.
Right. Yeah. 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 Food distributions, because a lot of people, especially young people, kids are, and families depending on those, the school lunches to be able to feed themselves and such. So
even housing. I mean, Alfonso always shared the stat, blows my mind, which is more than 5,800. He got the most recent number for us, 5,800 students in SAUSD that are either experiencing homelessness or have experienced homelessness in the last year. This housing crisis is something that needs to be tackled with the school district and the resources the school district have working alongside the city and the resources the city can bring to force, whether that's land, whether that's developer agreement, figuring out how we can put that puzzle together to make sure our students are able to have housing is a huge priority and their families, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if people are displaced, then school, school districts lose that student, therefore lose funding, and then public schools close.
Yeah, when I used to work for the city of Santa Ana in the community garden program, and I had a lot of local youth and families coming into the gardens. But what I also had was families that would come in and say their goodbyes because they were moving to San Bernardino, Anaheim, Arizona. They were moving to all these other places because the rent is really unaffordable, especially one of the families that I worked with for years. She was a single mom, undocumented, 2 kids, a teenager who's they want things and they get expensive. And the mom just had to move the kids because it was just getting really unaffordable, and they weren't even living in like an expensive part of the city either.
Yeah, no, it's a real struggle. Santana is one of the most expensive places to live, and ironically enough, for as much as people would like to bag on Santana, it's like there's a reason why we have to have 2-3 families at her home, because that's how people can afford to stay housed. And of course, that also, played into the rise of COVID cases because of the close proximity of people. I want to shout out to Juan Alvarez, a newly elected president of the Anaheim Democrats Club. Yeah, el señor presidente Juan was also, I believe, on the school board, right, trustee. He says, every election is an opportunity for us to work collectively to replace folks that do not have the best interest of people in mind. And Carolyn says, Anaheim and Santana are cousin cities. Juan also says we must work together as 2 cities. I agree with that. That's why I take the term Santana Jaimero. That's my identity.
All right, didn't mean to play into the beef. That was my bad. Shouldn't have brought it up.
Damn.
Yeah. Cooperate.
Like East Coast, West Coast.
I'm adopted to Santa Ana adopted me, but my family goes back is from Anaheim. Like I have family that's lived in Anaheim for generations.
Yeah.
Santa Anaheim.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Same here.
I want to share I think something that a lot of people probably don't know about Santa Ana and what it means to the Vietnamese community, but I grew up in San Diego, and that's where my family are at, and when we came up here constantly when I was a kid, and we didn't refer to this place as Little Saigon, we referred to it as Santa Ana with a Vietnamese accent, and I thought it was just us until I met family living in Arizona who also were like, yeah, we're gonna go to Santa Ana next time we visit. We gotta go to Santa Ana next time we visit. And I didn't, everyone in San Diego referred to Little Saigon as Santa Ana. This is a really important, special place for a lot of people, and in all different ways too, that I think many of us still don't know about. So yeah, just random tidbit about Santa Ana that I think folks don't know.
Yeah. And with this election specifically, I mean, Vietnamese, and the role of Vietnamese electorate being engaged is part of it. So I think that's an important thing that people perhaps don't think about when they think about Santana, right? They think it's like, almost 80% Latinos, but there's a significant Vietnamese community that perhaps have been ignored for far too long. And so, district elections is meant to engage people that have been long time disenfranchised, but also, just ideally, give grassroots candidates the ability to run and actually win. And so, but I've seen at least the way that it's played out in Anaheim and the way that it could play out here is if there is not an infrastructure of support, for candidates, we don't just need candidates, that progressive candidates, those like you all mentioned, and very true, hard to find.
Right.
When you do find them, and they, they're able to be courageous enough to jump into the fray, because it's crazy, running for office. It messes with people. I've seen people lose their minds through the process, but also being able to have the support system of volunteers, of folks knowledgeable with the process to guide them through the process.
Yeah.
So I have seen that. And so I think this is great that this time with wards being the first election that actually has true district elections, not this fake hybrid stuff that it was just they had to live in the ward, but they were elected at large. Not real. So now they really have a chance to do it. But in the case of Anaheim, the district flipped, and the majority went towards the community. But then in the next election, they got it all right back. And so because they learned.
They figured it out. They evolved. They still are extremely rich. So, there's still ways. And
there's still developers and POAs and especially that are not going away, that just kind of adapt. And so it's the community adapting. And I guess y'all are the response to that, right?
All right.
Yeah. If you have time, I'd love to talk about that, because this is the first time that I think we're all participating now in a newly, changed system with all the wards that are completely redrawn. No other election has seen these type of districts before. And I think on top of what we're trying to do with getting more progressive candidates elected into office, one of the things that we're trying to see happen is in order for systemic change to be real and possible, we also need a cultural shift too in the way that our communities interact with one another. Because the issues that we're trying to address here, with people going hungry, with people being displaced, with, like people being unable to afford healthcare and housing and to remain where they want to live, it's not just affecting one community, it's affecting a lot of communities that have lived in the same neighborhoods for a long time, and specifically Latinx and Vietnamese residents. And I think this is something that we see reflected in the values of the slate as well, is that they understand that there are these cultural bridges that need to be created between our communities because we're affected by the same issues, but we don't talk about it like that with each other. We think that we're different. We think that Vietnamese people don't experience the same type of issues. They experience it the same, but they do it differently, and I think these things with the district elections was that I don't think we talk about for some reason is it was won largely with the argument that there had been a disenfranchised Asian American community, especially in Western Santa Ana, where there are a large number of Vietnamese residents. And, we make up 11% of the city's population, but about 18% of the voting population here, of voting age. And this isn't just about we need the person who represents that community be elected into office. This is about how we can find people who actually want to build genuine, meaningful relationships between, Vietnamese, Latinx, other communities that live in the city. And I've seen this reflected in the way that the candidates that we have talk about that. We need people to stop pandering to the Vietnamese community or another community, and do it in a transactional way. And in order for things to truly change in the city, and I think in this country as a whole, is we need people to build those kinds of relationships that make it possible. And I think this is one of the first times, not one of the first times, but at least the first times in my life that I'm seeing it and it's living here. And I wish we talked about that more often. It's about, at the end of the day, the politics it's about, obviously power and status, but it's about relationships. And I don't think we talk about that enough.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'm really proud to stand behind a slate that understands, these cultural tensions, but also the similarities that we face, especially in our school board candidates and Vincent, Jesse, you talk about the way that immigration policies affect our communities who are all being impacted by deportation and detention. So, yeah. That was a little spiel. Sorry about that, but
no, that was great.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of overlap in the issues, and I almost feel like if we all worked in the city, we all worked in our neighborhoods, we could build those relationships better. Having a more localized economy, we would know our neighbors and know who's selling us this. So we need a lot of things among that, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love the Vietnamese. I see Timothy Fan on here, and Latinos Latinx coming together. It's beautiful, and more importantly, all the progressive, homies that have been doing it. And as Carolyn mentioned, it's 8 years ago, she was had issues with housing. She would not have been able to run then, but she's come to a place where. But she's been doing work this whole time, and so have many of the people that are running or helping out this this slate and through the cooperative campaign. So it's really it feels like coming to fruition. A lot of seeds that were planted along the way, and a lot of self-development and collective work that have been done through different organizing spaces as you mentioned, Maria. Many of us worked with El Centro and other spaces that. We're trying to find a place, in Santana and a voice that a lot of times gets ignored. So whether it's rent control, like signature gathering drives, or other things that the community themselves has had to take it upon themselves when the electeds have largely ignored these pleas. So I wanna go ahead and I'm loving this conversation. This has been really great. Y'all obviously bring a lot of passion and a lot of just knowledge and wisdom to this conversation. But maybe I want to give a chance just for some final comments from each one of y'all. feel free to expound upon what you already said or add something more to that. And also, just reiterating where people can volunteer, donate, and be a part of this here, revolution, collective cooperative campaign that y'all have been talking about here today.
I just wanted to also mention how this wouldn't have also been possible a couple years ago, because now it's not just cooperative campaigns, it's other like campaign groups all over the city. So on the weekend, you might run into one of the campaigns, but we are all like communicating with each other. So this is something that when I used to canvas for other people, I would never run into like other people that are also aligned with my views and stuff like that. So it's really cool. I think Carolyn has been posting pictures where there's volunteers from different parts of the city that's knocking for a certain candidate, but then they also bring up these other candidates. Like if you're in Ward 5, you're going to bring up Laura Perez. If you are just wherever you are, you're going to bring up all like the rest of our slate as well. So we're all over the city, and it's really cool to see something like that.
Oh yeah, sounds like a coalition and a cooperative
taking over. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just Santana. There's yeah, no, I don't think anybody's doing as much, volunteer driven work as, and just grassroots kind of support. Is just like little, like, just ants, fire ants, like just just going to work.
I just share just a shout out to some of the other folks that have been involved. Of course, Yenny and Carlos and Ben, who have been part of the Cooperative Campaigns team from the beginning. And then folks like Eric and Manny and Melissa from Jesse's team, like just the different people that have supported each of the campaigns, and then the candidates themselves. I mean, it's just, we're 3 weeks out, so vote Jesse, vote Alfonso, vote Carolyn, vote Vince, because at the end of the day, we need to have these candidates not only run great campaigns, but win. So let's keep that hopefully on everybody's minds as we are signing off.
I think the only thing I'd want to say is that I don't think this would have been possible had it not been for 10 to 20 years of different strategies, different people trying new creative things, like you mentioned earlier, Jose. And it's like a snowball, like everything that happened in the past got us to this moment. And we're finally connecting and intersecting multiple movements and strategies, bringing in housing. The housing work has been done for years, the immigrant rights work that had been built for over a decade. Everyone who'd been involved in campaigns. And so, yeah, like Maria said, we're just one cooperative that is in the sea of like other organizers and activists and movements that are making, like the political and cultural shift possible here. So we have a lot of events, it's 3 weeks, but it's not too late to volunteer with us. Phone bank with us tomorrow. It'll be fun. It'll be virtual and over Zoom. Carolyn, Alfonso, Jesse, and Vince are going to be hosting a really amazing conversation on how the city council and the school board can work together this Thursday. So we may have not done it fully justice here, but they will get really into it and it'll be awesome. And don't forget to order one of Ben's drinks. So shout out.
Yeah, they're bomb.
Your skill of canvassing. While canvassing, you get to check out the city, different parts of the neighborhood, talk to different neighbors. Like the people we're talking to are basically our neighbors. So you get to meet neighbors, you get to see the community, see what the different like streets are. The city is really nice. Come canvass.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Come out. Oh.
Ha!
Damn, Maria left us. I was going to call her
She just mic drop. She's like, right. Boom. Come out. Bam.
Yeah. Notorious MZT. Zacarias Torres. Yeah. Right. In the building. Yeah. So definitely, man, this has been a great conversation. I want to thank once again Tracy La, Maria Zacarias, and Andrew Hausserman for joining us here tonight. Make sure to look them up on the Cooperative Campaigns Facebook. I know folks have been assistant executive, interim executive producer Yenny Diaz has been dropping. So shout out.
Yeah, we have to announce that.
Yeah.
to avoid any,
She's cool.
perception of bias or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good website too. I'm loving this website.
What's the website called?
Cooperative-campaigns.com.
Cooperative-campaign.
Cooperative-campaigns.com.
Hyphen.
It's a dash or a hyphen. You know what I'm saying? That character. Don't write hyphen, guys. Don't type out hyphen.
Campaigns.com.
Cooperative-campaigns.com. And there's a dash.
Boom. There it is.
Talk
about it. So yeah, Yenny dropped the link, and I had pinned it to learn more about Safe and Vibrant Santa Ana Slate. Visit the link tree that will get you all the information that you need for the different volunteer donation and mixed drinks made by Don Benjamin.
That sounds good.
Magical concoctions. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't want to,
yeah. So this is great.
Oh yeah. No, it's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see a bunch of people pulling together. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is the future of progressive politics. This kind of reminds me of even the progressive coalition up in Richmond. And they were doing a similar thing. They're supporting an entire slate of candidates that coming from different backgrounds. So yeah, it's lovely to see it here.
Absolutely, it's much needed. It's definitely filling a void that I saw for many years, and a lot of other folks saw, and so this definitely, as Maria mentioned, it's been years in the making as folks have figured out the different fronts that there's to fight for a better world, and so we desperately need elected officials that are not beholden to the special interest.
Oh yeah.
And so every city is different. I'll say it, the police officers associations in other cities are not as aggressive as the one that is here. But it is unfortunate that that it has been the case here in Santa Ana, that they've gone above and beyond. Again, I was part of the campaign that pushed for by district elections here in Santa Ana, and I saw Hapulido and the POA literally ran out the clock, refused to sign the document to get district elections.
Yeah,
and nothing happened to them. So then they were able to postpone, and it was the same thing that happened in Anaheim.
So shady.
Yeah.
That's the process.
Including Jordan Brandman, they've just ran out the clock and pushed it as long as they could until finally they couldn't no more, because it's the law. You can't you can't disenfranchise voters. So with the California Voting Rights Act. So cities will do whatever they want to until litigation is involved, and so that was the case in most cities, or the threat of litigation. Orange has recently also switched to district elections. So again, the game is set for the ability for grassroots candidates to win elections, and will they win is the question. And so there's going to be a lot of hopefully joy on election day here in some way, shape, or form. Who knows what's going to happen in the national elections? They're saying that it's going to take weeks for us to really find out who won. But hopefully we'll have a lot to celebrate here locally in Santa Ana, but also Anaheim and Orange and Buena Park and Huntington Beach. The homie Oscar Rodriguez trying to take out Tito Ortiz. Boom, take him. And all sorts of different propositions and stuff. I think next week we're gonna talk a little more about the propositions, Dylan. I think
Voters Guide.
We owe it to our viewers. Yeah,
it's happening. Voters Guide.
Yeah, so you better do your homework.
Which is just actually me reading the Green Party's voter guide to you and calling it It's Happening. But it'll follow along those lines.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention what the new slogan. It's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Cooperative Campaigns is slogan. And also they're on Instagram, cooperative.com/cooperative campaigns. So yeah, just follow them and stuff. And also follow us. We're on Yeah, and this is Edgar's cue to put our picture of all the things.
Oh yeah, smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Make sure you click that bell. You want to get those notifications. Okay, sorry. Been practicing.
There you go. I know. Smash that bell. Yeah. So YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, OnlyFans page for exclusive
footage. Jose's sex corner.
Hairy chest pictures of Dylan.
Wait, what?
You can see, there's
Oh my god. This is just another shirt underneath. Yeah.
That is enough of that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's enough. That's more.
So yeah. Once again, thank you so much for all that joined us for the first time. Please follow our Facebook page. We're on here every Monday night, giving you all the people that are on the front lines and talking about the issues that matter most to us here, progressives, woke AF folks, but mostly, just savage revolutionaries. Radical fringe.
Right. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Absolutely, yeah. Big up to all the people. I think I saw folks in Anaheim celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day, so shout out to them. Then all the people that worked hard on that, Lupe, Michelle, all those folks. So yeah, it's folks. Please take care of yourselves. Mental health. I do, send me a message if you want to find out where I go do my floating therapy. Those are good. But yeah, this is going to get tough. The negative mailers are coming. Just the mudslinging and all the worst of the worst that is the swamp in politics is most certainly has been happening and will happen some more. But that's where we have to be back.
It's been happening and will continue to happen. The longer name for the show, but
yeah. So thank you so much to audio video engineer Edgar Silva, Iron Lion Media Studios.
Iron Lion. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll do the voiceover for your ad. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think I hear the sound of the Bandas Calavera coming on, which
the hook is coming out.
Shut up.
Like,
yeah. Oh, and lastly, I want to dedicate this show to my good friend Margarito, who passed away a month ago. He was one of my students for my citizenship classes, and I found out that he passed away sadly. But so happy that I was able to help him become a citizen, and he was so proud of that. And that was one of his last accomplishments as a human being. To see like after years and years of working hard as an immigrant, paying his taxes, to be able to feel included and become a citizen. And hold up his certificate as a trophy and to vote for the first time was a great thing for him. And I was able to help him do that in March. So, So rest in peace, rest in power, my brother, and continue to help out the people that you love, your community members, because the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few.
Oh, yeah.
As you all know.
Said it.
Yeah. And get informed and fight back.
Right.
All day, as
every day.
Maria Zacarias says, yeah, what? So yeah. So once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us from Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria and all of us here on It's Happening Family.
It's happening. Okay.
Para no ver lo que es verdad, te han engañado, no es libertad, lo que tú vives es vulgar, ser un esclavo sin descansar mientras que el burgués se aprovecha luchar para vencer este sistema capital. Hay que levantar proletarios y la guerra popular. Hay que desarrollar nuestra conciencia para podernos gobernar.